Hey guys, here's a good one for you. It's a carbon fibre lower front bumper splitter off a Nissan 350Z, 370 actually, so I'm told. As you can see, it's not in the best shape. Bit of everything going off here. So I thought I'd make a video on this. It's a good one in the sense that I don't know what I'm doing with it, so as you'll be watching it, you've probably got more of an idea, or as much as an idea as what I've got with it. Sometimes I like to take things on that I've no idea how to fix them, and this is one of them. So I've never really dealt with carbon fibre before. I'm told the guy that owns the panel, he's poured some epoxy resin on it, and because his old accommodation was cold, he says it's not took too well, which is a little bit of an understatement. There seems to be areas with a dusting on and some areas with runs everywhere, so I've come to the conclusion that it was perhaps trying to fill these dimple areas. There's some pretty severe dimples in the finish. It's difficult to capture. So I'm told that this is epoxy resin that's been poured on it. Can't really get any sense out of the guy why he did it. There's quite a few divots in it, which you'll probably see in a minute when I've sanded it down. I'm presuming they've tried to fill those. So I'm going to sand it with 400 grit on the DA. Try and knock these runs down and try and get down to a bit more of a level surface. One of my concerns is, because I've never worked on carbon fibre before, how far can you sand down before you hit the carbon fibre? So I've done a little bit of research, and apparently, I don't know if it's always the case, but often they are layered with epoxy resin, so that should be pretty tough stuff. So we'll see how this sands down first. Probably point out at this point I don't really know what I'm doing, so this is literally as it is. So I've sanded that bit with 400. It's quite tough, the epoxy that's been poured on, so I'm going to try a bit of 320. As you can see, there's quite a lot going on there. very huge, I'll call them potholes, massive dimples in it. You know, they're really deep. So I'm presuming the clients tried to pour resin into them to make the overall finish better, but why they're there in the first place I'm not exactly sure. So I've sanded all this area with 320 and it looks a mess, doesn't it? So there is one way that I can hopefully try and check to see if it's gone all the way through to the carbon fibre, which I don't think it has. If I spray some panel wipe on it, that's kind of indicating to me that I've not gone through. So that's been completely sanded down with 320. It's took some sanding. I don't know if you're watching this and you're thinking, I don't know what's going on, or if you're thinking that's a mess, or if you're thinking no, that's exactly where I do, but this is where we're at so far, so I'm going to go over it again with 400. So we're in the back of the van now, and I've got the bumper all sanded. I think it's all been sanded down. 400 grit is the final grit I used. I hadn't had it out for a few weeks actually, so I'm just back on it now. So this is what we've got. It has seemingly burnt through some of the, I'm presuming, the clear coat on the top, which I'm not sure if that's a problem yet, I'll be honest. Like I say, I'm doing this by ear. I don't know what's going to happen with it, so just from my spraying knowledge and polishing knowledge, it looks definitely like it's burnt through in these areas where there's some low spots. So the encouraging thing is when I spray some panel wipe on it, which kind of is a way of replicating, you know, a clear coat finish, it kind of indicates what it's going to look like when it's lacquered. So the burn through marks seem to be kind of seamless, so that's encouraging for the final finish. So I'm going to persevere with what I originally wanted to do with it, which is obviously lacquer the whole top with 2K lacquer all over the whole panel. So one thing the guy mentioned that he wants me to try and resolve is these quite deep dimples in the finish. I'm not sure why they're there. I don't know if the panel's had a bit of an accident at some point and these are scuff marks where it's chipped away. I'm not sure. I'm presuming it was these marks, these dimples, which the guy was trying to fix when he tried to do his epoxy resin, which didn't work because he said the temperature wasn't right. So I've got the heat lamps on in here. I'm in the back of the van, so I'm going to try and get it warm in here so I don't have that issue. But yeah, I need to try and fill these dimples in. So let's have a look what I've got. I've got a few things. I don't know how they're. So I ended up buying some, after a little bit of research, I ended up buying some epoxy resin off the internet. I'll tag the company in the description. It's obviously a two-part product, same kind of thing as lacquer by the looks of it. You've got your resin and then you've got your hardener. I think it's 2-to-1 mix. So I've got a little mixing cup and just got some brushes. I don't know how it's going to apply. I don't know if it's going to be something you spread on, if I'm going to be able to just dab in the little bits, you know, kind of like that, blob it on like you do with lacquer, or if it's going to be something perhaps I'm going to need to brush on. I've no idea, absolutely no idea. I want to try and get not too much product around it and all over it. I need it to be hopefully sitting some kind of within the holes, because I don't want to keep sanding and sanding, because I'm pretty sure you're going to burn through to the carbon fibre, which is going to be a problem. As I keep saying, this is real time. I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm kind of learning as I record really, which I think that's useful for anybody that's never done it before, because I've never done it before. So this company, they've got a video on their website, and that's kind of the only thing I've watched really. It's pretty cool. The guy's got a gun, a wooden gun for some Olympic level person, I'm not sure, and he coats it with some carbon fibre, what they provide, and then he literally brushes a lot of epoxy resin on the carcass of the wooden gun over the carbon fibre, lets it dry overnight, then comes back to it, sands it with 120 grit, which is that's a tough grit. It's a low grit, so it's, you know, it's coarse. And then he just keeps coating it just to fill the imperfections up. And to be honest with you, the video is pretty good as far as, you know, learning the process, but the finish is awesome on it. And like lacquer, you seem to be able to sand it and work up the grades till you can get to a buffing stage with it. So the thing looks amazing when he's finished it. So that's pretty much the only carbon fibre education I've had, and how to use epoxy resin. So I'm going to mix some up, and then we'll literally see how we get on with it. Okay, so I made a 2-to-1 mix. Obviously mixed the two components together, which made the epoxy resin, which is now obviously a chemical reaction, so that's already going hard. It's obviously not gone hard yet, but obviously the chemical reaction started with that, like lacquer and anything 2-pack, anything 2-part. Once you mix in the hardener with the product, you know, it's depending on what the product is that you're mixing, it's a matter of time before it starts to set. So, okay, as you can see, I've applied it locally and in any of the bits that were low spots, the dimples. I've also done it over some stone chips and that as well, some smaller stuff. Usage wise, well, I'll talk about how I applied it first. I don't know if it's going to turn out good or bad, or if it was the right way of doing it or not, I'm not sure, but I tried with a little micro tip. Remember the dimple spots? I dipped it in the epoxy cup and just blobbed it into anywhere. I did a few over here where some of the low spots was, which worked fine. Yeah, as you can see, I did some here just as a tester really. What I didn't want with that method was, once you've put the epoxy resin on, it's quite difficult to gauge whether you've achieved the hole filling, because it just goes, as you can see, shiny. Now you can look down the side of it and let the light catch it a bit, but the other thing with the product is, and it's supposed to be like this after watching the promo video, it seems to continue to run. So I'm used to, if I touched some clear coat into a chip, it won't instantly go off, but it seems to instantly start going tacky, whereas this stuff, still after 15 minutes or so, it's still continuing to run. So I don't know if you can catch that on the camera. So although it's obviously setting, the working time seems to still be, I'll just touch it now, see if it seems to be setting now, so it's probably about 20 minutes in, and there's a heat lamp on as well, so I'm trying to keep it warm in here. So I started off using the micro tip, and then I quickly changed over to dipping this into there and just smearing it on, which kind of left this finish. When I was doing it, because it looks so nice when it's applied, I was tempted to just brush the whole lot. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't want to create more work for myself, and I've kind of gone down this method now of trying to fill these holes, and then I'll let it dry. I don't know how long it takes to dry. I think the promo video was kind of saying it was overnight, so it just seems to be going tacky now, so perhaps it's not going to take as long as I thought. But as you can see here, it seems to continue to run, which when I watched the gun being done, it kind of brushed it all on, and then it just kind of runs down whatever you've brushed it on and leaves a nice finish, like when you pour water on something, it just goes down. It looked kind of like that, so it's supposed to carry on running, I'm presuming. Which in this instant I don't really want. I wanted it to kind of stay how it was, but as long as the holes are filled, the dimples are filled, and as long as it don't take too much sanding down, and as long as I don't make too much mess in the sanding down process, i.e. burning through the clear or the epoxy underneath it, which I don't want to get down to carbon fibre, and bearing in mind it's already had a fair amount of sanding process, that's what I'm concerned about really. So obviously it's the unknown to me at the minute, but as far as products went, it seemed to go fine. I mixed it up, it went on nice. You can obviously dip it in, brush it on, yeah, so I'll probably leave it in here. I'm going to leave it in here for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and see if it's gone any harder, see if it's, you know, set anymore. I'm obviously not expecting to sand it till another day, so yeah, I don't know if it's gone good, bad, ugly, I don't know at the minute, but some progress has been made on it. I can kind of see how if you've got a big enough brush, or, you know, or applicator, you could just literally brush it all on and let it just kind of set and level out, and then you've obviously got a fresh layer of resin on it. Then I could see how, what kind of finish, and what I can understand the process of that now, because it looks good in the places that it's been, you know, good coverage. So we'll see. I'll catch you back when it's time for sanding again. So I was just packing up. I've only left it 5 minutes since the last clip that I just did, and I just went to move this, and it's completely set. It's also changed colour slightly as well. It's gone a bit yellowy, whereas there's a tiny little bit of pink in it before. So setting wise, poke it, it's pretty much gone rock hard now. So yeah, I'm expecting it to not take that long now on the bumper that we've put it on. Still tacky on there. It seems to have set quicker in there than on the panel, but yeah, that really has set like rock hard glue. So yeah, just a time scale thing. It is getting quite warm in here because I've got that heat lamp on, but yeah, it's starting to set. Just something else to be aware of, guys. Obviously I've never used this product before, but it seems to have, where the cup's been, it's actually melted it. Melted the tarpaulin sheet. Pretty much burnt through it as well. So I was going to do this in the kitchen, on the kitchen table, but the missus had cleaned the floor and spent quite a while tidying up, so I thought she's not going to want me in there messing around with this. So it's a good it's a good job I didn't put it on the kitchen table and turn me back, you know, with that cup on there. So like I say, it's all happening as it's happening. So this is the result after a couple of weeks of applying the epoxy resin. So it should be obviously set by now, well set. I think it's gone alright. It's hard to tell, to be honest with you. I've tried to fill all them dimples as best I can and apply a few bits here and there, so I'm going to try and sand it down now and hopefully get ready for some lacquer. So I've sanded it down as before. I've not showed you that bit because I think you've seen me sanding 1,000 times before. I started with 180 grit, 320, 400, now I'm on 800, and you can see all the little repairs that I've done. There's a couple of little bits what perhaps would have needed a second coat of epoxy, but you can see all the repairs that I've done with the epoxy resin, and yeah, it seems pretty good, it seems pretty uniform. I'm still at this stage hoping that when I lacquer it, clear coat it, that it's going to all look uniform and how I want it to look, but at this stage, as I say, I've never done one before. I don't know if it's wrecked, I don't know if it's going to turn out amazing, I don't know at the minute, but I think I'm just going to go over it with wet and dry 1000, just as a bit of a finisher before the clear coat, just to make sure that there's no scratch marks left in it. So next time I'll be recording, it'll be the lacquer stage. So I've sanded it with 1000 wet and dry, I've panel wiped it, it's finally ready for paint, so we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. So I've just finished clear coating it with 2K lacquer, and I have to say I'm so impressed with it. I can't actually believe how nice the finish is. I've never done one of these before. It was all live as you were watching it. I didn't know what it was going to turn out like, but I'm absolutely over the moon with it. I think it looks stunning. I hope you like this video. It's a bit of a different one, having never worked on it before. I hope it helps some of you guys out. I'll put a link in the description of some of the products that I used. I'll put a link in for the company I use for the epoxy resin. And hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, help the channel out. I'll keep trying to bring you different stuff, interesting stuff, and I'll keep updating the channel. Thanks guys.